All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Sports Card Therapist, where I give you a behind the scenes look at my hobby hustle and sprinkle in some self care and wellness on top of that. I'm Rob Gerard, your Sports Card Therapist. And whether if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or watching on YouTube or YouTube Live, welcome to the podcast. And I feel like this is my go to opening line, but I am excited about today's episode because I have back for, I want to say, the fourth time. I'll
It's 4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5 exactly, man, is a good friend of the show, Dave, on Instagram. He is Extraordinary Cards. Dave, how you doing, man?
Dude, I am so tired. So I got back from Dallas, 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. We were up at 4 a.m. today. And then maybe an hour or so after I got home and got settled, I got a text from you saying, "Hey, man, podcast tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, oh, so much for sleep." I was sipping on coffee up until like 5 minutes ago. So I'm a little tired. We'll have to see how I do tonight.
I love it, man. I love it. So yeah, you are fresh off of spending the weekend in Dallas at the Dallas Card Show. And
Correct.
and I tell you what, so I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, I felt like, my episode that I dropped on Thursday was really good, really full of like, kind of like self-help, kind of like self-care type stuff, it's about cards and money and trying to balance out like spending and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just not release an episode Sunday night, Monday morning, and just kind of let the episode breathe a little bit because, Nationals coming up. And I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm all day, all I'm doing is thinking cards, especially now with the National, especially seeing, all the pickups and everything from Dallas. So I'm like, of
Yep.
course I'm doing a show. And immediately in my mind, there were one or two guys that came to mind. You were absolutely one of them. So glad to get you on, man. Now you are someone that you've set up at Dallas
Yep.
multiple times, right? You set up at the National. You're going to be setting up at the National again this
Correct.
year. But before we get into all the National talk, I would love to hear just kind of a little bit about Dallas. So how long had you been planning on going to Dallas? Because Dallas is how many times a year? Is it twice or three
Yeah.
times?
Yeah, Dallas is like 5 or 6 times a year.
No, it's not six. There's no way
It's
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 six.
at least 5.
Really?
Yeah, they do it like every 6 to 8 weeks. Like I can tell you right now for a fact, the next Dallas show is like middle of September. I don't know the exact date, but I believe it's one more in September and then one more in November, like right before Thanksgiving, and then they're done because Christmas time and New Year's and stuff. I was always planning on going to Dallas. Like that is my favorite show to travel to. Especially now that I have my own space, under my own name on the front wall.
Wow.
So now that I have that, like I'm fully committed to Dallas. I love going there. It's a good thing I left when I did because I was actually supposed to leave Saturday night, and then my flight got canceled. And due to bad weather
Ooh.
here in New Jersey, I think some people might have gotten left behind in Dallas. They might not be home right now. So I got lucky. I would not be on this podcast right now or in this good of a mood had things worked out a little differently. But I flew out Wednesday night. I worked from my hotel room on Thursday. I set up at the VIP section for the first time actually on Thursday, and it was good. Um, Sundays at shows are kind of tricky because it's very hit or miss. People are obviously going to want to travel and be home. So the way I've looked at it and the way I've adapted is like Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, and leave that night and be in my own bed, wake up Sunday morning, like have a day to recover. And it kind of works that way. That's how I've really enjoyed doing it. Obviously, this time had a little bit of a different shift to it, but Dallas is such a good experience every single time. I on a grading scale, I would always say it's like a B plus A minus type of show. Because of the national being 2 weeks away or less now at this point, my expectations were tempered, but even still, it was still a B plus, A minus type show. I sold plenty of stuff. I turned over a bunch of inventory. And now I'm in a position where I either am going to be sitting cash heavy for the national, which is awesome, best position to be in, or I might try and buy one or two more larger items and see what happens. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you. So I think in my mind, when I think of Dallas, especially if I'm thinking like 2 weeks before the national, which I think some people are kind of weary on that, but I remember
Yep.
last year people were like really skeptical about it being so close to the national, and Dallas was just a grand, it wasn't even a home run, it was like a grand slam last July from what I remember. But like, do you think that Dallas is more of a flippers type show? Like when you go there, is it
Yes.
like okay?
So to go farther, I actually went to Nashville last year instead of Dallas, but I made it a vacation, and I actually did pretty okay at that show. Dallas would have been objectively the better place to go to for a business, but hey, I went somewhere new and went on vacation, so that's fine. Um, I think what a lot of people don't realize about these major shows in general, I don't know if we're going to see at the National this time, probably a bunch too, but repackers provide so much value in this hobby. And I know that's kind of maybe a hot take to say, but the liquidity that they're offering people in these times actually is like a great thing.
Talk to me about that. Break that down. What does that mean? What does that mean that repackers are offering more liquidity than anyone? Because when I
Because,
think of repackers, I think of a freaking waste of money. I think of people putting their junk in with a pack
yep,
around like maybe one decent card that you are
correct.
lucky to get your money back, and if you are, it's still probably something that couldn't sell in someone's case, so they're wrapping it up and selling it in a repack.
I
That's what I think.
No, I agree with you. Do not buy into repacks. Main point number one: do not buy into them. But whoever is,
And listen, shout out to the repackers. I'm sorry, I'm not,
oh, yeah,
by all means, I am not
yeah,
trying to.
thanks, Rob. Now no one wants to buy off me anymore. I hope
I
you're
know.
happy.
No,
No, but
listen, I just had like 50 people unsubscribe from my podcast just now. Listen,
I'm pretty sure you're
all
canceled. Hang on, let me pick up my phone. Who's blowing me up right now? But what I was going to try and say is the repackers who go to these shows and are organized, the guys who you see at every single experience, the ones who go with like three, 4, or 5 members are really good at what they do, and they will pay stronger than other like influencers or Instagram people or whatever. I sold cards at like 90% comps. Like
wow.
what more can I really expect? I mean, yeah, I had to take PayPal, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm paying taxes anyway on it, and some people won't take PayPal. But dude, 90% on like decent inventory. Come on, like what do I actually expect reasonably to get out of that card? Sure, I can try and get 100% value,
But
but
and because you're a flipper though, right? And so I had if this voice or the name or Dave is familiar to you, it's because I had him on the high end flipper roundtable about probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, right?
yeah, and I
So
think it was right after the last Dallas show.
yeah. So I could remember really like we had a great conversation about the reason why some flippers are so successful in this hobby is because, well, first of all, it takes cash, right? It takes
Yep.
having to have cash to buy at just stupid low comp, like percentages, right? Like if you're a flipper, a lot of times I think you probably shoot to buy things at 70 to 75%, and
Dude, I
then
would love to buy at 70% comps. That's not normal anymore. Like
okay, so
I'm buying it 75 to 80%,
okay, so
which is
75 to
that
80.
is
So
that is fine. That is a fine number. It is not good. And I do say that to people. Hey, this is a fine number. It's not a good number, but it's fine. And you know what? Some people are okay with that. If you want to maximize your dollar, do it. Like, yeah, that's awesome. You should. But you might need the cash for an item, a grail, or you might want just cash because you got skunked on something, or you want to go open a box, or you want to, go get a drink or whatever you want to do. There is value to, I mean, giving someone a little extra at the end of the deal in order to provide X, Y, and Z. I don't know what you need the money for, but if you want it, it's got to
and
make
what's
sense.
crazy is me going to shows, I set up at shows, I go to shows, and I think a lot of people that I know in the hobby that walk shows regularly, I think the expectation is typically always that dealers are probably going to be over comps on their prices, right? And there's all sorts
Yes.
of reasons for that, all sorts of justification, the travel it took to get there, even if it's a local show, even if it's a local show, if the last comp on a card is $100, the people there are typically asking like 130 and won't let it go for any less than 120,
I mean,
so
that's just dumb. I mean, I will sticker my prices
but
higher
that's a
'cause
majority, I think, of
sure, but
dealers that set
they're
up.
not gonna have a good show then. Like, do you wanna be successful or do you wanna just look at your cards for 3 months and wonder why am I not selling anything?
Well, and I think the point is here, right, is that you are able to buy cards at 75 to 80% of comps, and
Correct.
you have extreme discipline. So like if there's something you really want, but you're not going to get it at the price you want it at, you'll walk away.
Correct.
Right? Whereas like someone like me, I feel like I'm always overpaying for stuff, right? And that's probably why I'm never buying things at 80% and selling them for 90% and making that little 10% there. But that 10% is what really helps people grow and expand their inventory, right? So it does seem like there's two types of people that set up at shows. I mean, there's more types of people, but I'm going to be very, very simple here. On
Sure.
one end of the spectrum, you have that dealer that I'm talking about that will sell at like 120% of comps because they're probably into it for more, and they would rather own the card than have
The
payment for the
loss.
last comp.
Yeah.
Where so they end up not having great shows. They end up probably with the same inventory week in, week out, month after month. And then there's you on the other hand, or other flippers that you get like you'll move stuff at 90% of comps all day, which is freaking awesome. I almost like, don't you wish that you could like have a big blinking sign like when people walk in that you could just be like 90% of comps,
I
I will
mean,
sell at 90%, because the line would be out and around the door. So like
no, I
if
don't know if
walkers
that's
don't know that,
I don't
but
know if
that's
that's
part of the reason why I
true.
always say participation is required, because you got to get in there and go to every single table and see what their prices are.
I don't know if 90% comps would get people like in the door and like buying everything off me unless I was having something they explicitly wanted.
No, but it'll get a ton more eyes though.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And for reference, I will sticker my cards at between like 120 and 140 like eBay because it doesn't matter because people are going to check all anyway. They're going to check card ladder. My prices are there, so I don't have to tell you the same card 20 times. And I understand my prices might be high, but I'll have a conversation with you. Like, I would say 80% of what I do now these days is relationship building. Because guess what? A lot of my business is repeat customers. And once you get to know me, yeah, I'm kind of like a jerk, like at least on the outside. But once you talk to me and like we have a conversation, you're a human being with me. Oh yeah, no problem, man. Listen, I understand the comp is $800. I was asking 1,000. Give me seven. Like, oh, it was just that easy. Like it can be that if I don't feel like you're just taking advantage of the situation and you're just gonna be a jerk about it and just last comp is 8, do 4. It's like what? Like go away.
Yeah. You know what's great so about you? I definitely echo everything that you said, right? And I think, you kind of lean into that, lean into kind of being a jerk online, right?
You have to be.
But so one thing is I'm very, I make sure that I'm pretty, you won't catch me with these like massive hot takes. I'm not out there dropping like F bombs and like bashing a whole section of the hobby, except for the
Oops.
repackers. Again, I apologize for that. But what I like about you is you're like at least once or twice a week, you make some like awesome points about things in the hobby, and you're kind of obnoxious about it,
I
but
am.
the way that you do it, I love. So I feel like once a week I'm screenshotting one of your stories and then just reposting it on my story, because like in a way I'm like I really agree with what he's saying, but I don't have to take all the heat for it, because really I'm just reposting something. I'm not like coming up with it. And I know that's me taking the easy way out, but let me just say this. I'm
No,
looking at
I
the
think
last
it's true though.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last one I posted the other day, and you said, and I know we're kind of going off in left field here. We'll get back to Dallas and the National, but you said the other day, you said, "Is anyone else tired of beat this eBay offer story?" And I see it all the time too. People are like, "Just got offered 200 on eBay, 180 here, takes it off Instagram." Right?
Yep.
I see that all the time. And so you said, "Is anyone else tired of this beat this eBay offer stories?" You understand how easy it is to take that. I said, then you said, next time I can't sell a card, I'm going to have a friend make
Yep.
me a 3x over comps offer, screenshot it and post it here and say, does anyone want to match this? So I agree. I think there's all sorts of ways to, and like, to really manipulate people's mind and desire when it comes to purchasing sports cards. And that's just one way, because I mean, I'll speak for myself, sometimes I'll see a card and I will absolutely impulse buy it without even thinking. Like 5 minutes ago, I did not need that card, and now I'm smashing my PayPal button to send you money, kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, what I've learned is this in sports cards, and especially Instagram and online and everything like that. There are scammers who will continue to do business. There are people that continue to get scammed, ripped off, whatever else. If I'm just making hot takes and being kind of a jerk, I'm good for business. People like to deal with me. So it doesn't matter what I say and do. No one's going to be so offended by what I say and my actions that they're not going to want my business. So I might as well just say what's on my mind, even if it's not the nicest way, because there's no actual negative ramifications. If there was negative ramifications to all sports cards, it would be a lot clearer of a hobby, and there'd be a lot of individuals who would not be in it because, hey, there's a lot of shady motherfuckers in this industry, and it sucks. It's really bad.
Yeah, yeah. And so, all right. So getting back to Dallas, getting back to the National. So how was the show overall? So you were set up there. What was it? 3 days?
Wednesday, Thursday. Oh my god! Wait, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sorry. Once again, I'm on like 4 hours of sleep. So
Okay, so you were set up 3 full days.
yes,
Were any of the days any better than other ones, or were they all kind of comparable? Was there one day that stood out? Is there a reason?
Saturday was probably the best day, which was interesting because you would think that's generally going to be the best regardless. But it started super slow. I didn't make my first deal until like 2 p.m. and the show ends at 6. So within 4 hours, I moved, I don't know, 12,000, 12,500 of items in either repackers or general sales to friends. Like, it was an awesome day. I didn't buy a card at Dallas on Saturday until trade night, and I bought one card and I flipped it immediately to a friend for $50 more. So it's like, all right, well, I kept all the cash in my pocket, which honestly, I don't love to buy at shows unless there's good margins or if someone's just giving me a deal I can't refuse. Which is funny because Woods, Basketball Card Paradise, bought a lot off me that I bought from a friend 10 minutes earlier. And
Wow,
I made $400 for doing nothing. So
nice.
it was just really funny. I'm sure he's making like a grand or two on it. I don't care. Woods and I are friends. Like, I hope he crushes it. I got mine, so I
Yeah.
don't get bitter.
So because Nationals right around the corner, right? Do you find yourself less willing to sell? Like was there
Yeah.
anything that you didn't bring, or were you like, maybe I'll price it slightly high because I was moving at National? Or are you like, no, dude, nothing changes. I'm just
I
gonna
can't be guaranteed anything. So like why would I take that risk? If I get my price on an item, dude, yeah, please. Like if I know you wanted my Patrick Mahomes rated rookie auto, and we talked about that for like a minute. If
Yep.
you give me a number that made sense, either in cash and trade, yeah, I would give it to you at National. I'd hope you flip it there for more because I wouldn't care. I got my number. Like, greed is good, and greed is such a powerful thing within this industry if you use it correctly. But I'm not bitter. Like, I would turn around and hope, like, man, I hope you flip that for 3 grand more, 4 grand more. I'd be happy for if you did, because you would come back and do more business. So, like, when you get the number that you're desiring, either in cash and trade or both, and you're able to reuse that, available funds for the next project, I hope the next person crushes it because they'll come back and do more business. Like, I don't need to be so determined to hold every single item because that's when you sell too late and not sell too early.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I would agree. I would agree with, I hear some people say, I even have friends that say, I'm holding my stuff for National. I'm like, well, why aren't you bringing this stuff? Just bring it. Even if you have it priced slightly higher, like, why hold anything for National? And but I think everyone kind of has their plan, and I think everyone wants to be showing up heavy to the big show.
Sure.
And so yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. And so let's kind of shift in, I think, to some of the different cards that are moving, because one thing that I really really like about you is that you have a way, so you don't do much vintage. You've
I
had a few,
will. I will if it comes into a good price.
you've had a few vintage cards. I feel like anytime you get vintage, I'm always kind of DMing you and we're always having a conversation about it. I got a Babe Ruth from you. I got a 33 Gaudy Ruth from you. I got recently I got a 79 Gretzky rookie. I know
Yep.
there's other stuff I got from you. So but you have a really cool way, I think, of kind of like you balance between sticking to the goats and going modern, but I don't see you doing much prospecting at all. Am I wrong in that? And that you don't prospect? There's kind of like this fine line, like you'll buy, and I don't want to put words in your mouth or
Go
say what
for it.
you do, but you'll buy maybe you'll buy a Ja Morant or a Giannis, but you will not buy a Zion, or you will not buy a Wemby kind of thing.
Oh, no, I wouldn't touch his Zion card for any price, just because I don't like his market at all. And Victor, I don't know what's going to happen with his cards. Like, centers don't generally sell super well anyway, but we'll see what happens there. For basketball purposes, I generally try to stay 2 or 3 years behind like the most recent products. So I think we're still releasing last year's draft class, and and for the life of me, that's like Chet and Paulo and all those guys. So 2 or 3 years ago from that would be like Kate Cunningham, LaMelo Ball. No,
LaMelo, yeah.
okay. Once again, I'm sorry that my brain is a little off. So like I would look at guys like, and these are going to be different draft classes. It's fine. Scotty Barnes, LaMelo Ball, Kate Cunningham, Franz Wagner. Guys who are not in the newest products because you have some tape on them. You understand what they're going to be potentially, and their prices compared to the newest guys who are in products are going to be much more affordable, much more realistic. And in the quarterback market, which, dude, we can get to a whole different conversation about what I think.
Listen, talk to me about that, because that's really where I was leading to. I was leading to the
We
quarterback
are
market.
raced. We are
I
racing to
love
the bottom.
Let
We are
me
racing
say,
to the bottom.
I put out a post a couple days ago, and I said something about prospecting, and I've talked about it a lot on my show, just how prospecting is strictly gambling, right? But
Yep.
I am I wrong in saying I've never seen you with like a Ritter card or whoever else is popular? I've never seen that in your inventory, right?
I mean, I've last Dallas show I had cracked. I last Dallas show I bought a Sam Howell cracked ice, and I
A
moved it.
Howl.
Yep, thank you. I moved it to Kai and Joku like 20 minutes later. So
So why is it, I'm curious, like why is it that you really don't doubt, and I'm glad you don't. I'm curious as to your opinion though. Why you don't dabble in that high risk, high reward prospect flipping?
because in my mind, it's a race to the bottom. Like how many NTRPAs or how many cracked ices, how many Prism autos or Prism parallels are going to be in that room in Chicago in 2 weeks of Justin Fields, Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter, Jordan Love, all of these guys who have really not proven anything or are coming into their first chances to start and are selling for significantly more than guys that have at least proven something on the field. Like, once again, if we're going back to the conversation of looking at guys who are at least playing well and like have good cards, I'd rather buy Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. I'd rather buy the guys who at least have like shown on the field that they can do X, Y, and Z. Because the example that I like to use a lot of, you're buying Desmond Ritter and you're holding him week one. First off, LOL, good luck. Um, what are you actually expecting to do? Like, what are you hoping he performs like?
Oh, the moment the first kickoff of the season happens,
You're
prices
screwed.
start to slowly go down,
I know.
because he could go out and throw for 5 touchdowns and his prices will still slowly decline.
I mean, if that happens, you sell after week one and then you never look back. I'll tell you one thing, dude, like week 12, I'm going to start buying quarterbacks again because like the hype's going to be over and then you'll know who's pretty good. And guess what? If I own the Patrick Mahomes rated rookie PSA 10 auto that I somehow have by week 12, which is not going to happen, I'm okay with that because at least like a guy like that, Mahomes, I have a pretty good idea of what he's going to be like on the field. And I don't mind spending 5 figures on a card like that. I'd be really, really nervous if I bought Desmond Ritter, Sam Howell, uh, Justin Fields, Jordan Love, all those guys. I would be crapping my pants. I'd be very anxious and like hoping I could move those to some other fool at National.
And the crazy thing about all this prospecting, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I definitely want to jump to the National, but the crazy thing about this is it's like I don't know if any of these quarterbacks actually have a collector base. I could tell you, I could give you the answer. They probably don't.
They don't.
Because here's the thing. If you are an Atlanta Falcons fan, most Atlanta Falcons collectors, Ritter's out of their price range. So
Yeah.
no one's actually picking up Ritter cards. Just like there's so many Charger fans out there that have still yet to be able to afford to buy anything decent of Justin Herbert. You know what I mean?
They're buying second or third year cards, which are affordable. Dude, I could have bought a Trevor Lawrence Select tie-dye jersey number card at Dallas for like $160. I was like, oh, that's cool. But it's second year. And like, I know, oh, all right, maybe I can move this, but if that was a rookie, it'd be 4 or 5 figures. Because people are, dude, it's just crazy. This is a scary time in the market because, and I just said it, race to the bottom. So many interior PAs, so many expensive maybe not 6-figure cards anymore, but so many 5-figure cards of these guys, so many different patch autos from all the best brands are going to be in that room, and everyone's going to be undercutting each other to try and get out of them, in my opinion.
Wow. Yeah. So moving along, looking at the National, how many Nationals have you set up at now? Is this your second?
This will be my third.
Third?
Yeah.
So what are you expecting?
I'm expecting the room to smell like a dirty gym by hour 2. I'm expecting people to not understand etiquette and to be completely fucking gross. I'm expecting the bathroom to be like Chernobyl. I'm expecting people to not eat or drink until 4 a.m. Their feet to be completely sore because they're not going to have comfortable shoes. Their phones are going to be dead. Their arms are going to be tired from holding a briefcase all day. Oh, you're talking about what I expect as a dealer. Oh, I'm sorry. I expect people to be walking around trying to flip cards they buy at other showcases that maybe people are not paying attention on prices. And I expect to sell a lot of my cards. I expect to trade a ton of my stuff. I have 3 showcases. I can't fill 3 showcases right now with stuff. I'm going to be buying. Probably going into this week, I'm going to be trying to get some stuff in for last minute because maybe people want cash. And maybe I can get a good margin on some stuff and move it at 90% comps and then reinvest it. I got a wedding to pay for in a year. Like I'm not putting all my money into sports cards anyway. But now especially it's like, oh, I gotta go.
So when you are sitting here and you're like, okay, so I just did pretty well at Dallas. I have some money to spend. You're considering, do I want to do some work now and probably get better deals and have more control over what I'm actually buying before going into National rather than waiting to just see what walks up to your table in Rosemont. Right. So when you're doing that, where are the areas that you look? Are you like when you're shopping for your cards, when you're trying to revamp your inventory, are you just going on eBay like the rest of us? Do you have other flippers and other accounts on Instagram that you know, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm always going to be checking their stories. Where is it that you are?
I could text Mikey right now, Mikey's cards, and probably get a 20K lot if I really wanted to. Or Tyler, Hot Corner. Who I'm not. Do you know Tyler by chance or no?
What's his IG?
Hot Corner 1326.
No, I don't think I do.
Tyler's a very nice guy. I hope you meet him one day. He's always wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He's very friendly.
Love it. Where's he from?
He's from Illinois.
Illinois?
Yeah. He'll be obviously be at the National.
Yep.
He's a very nice guy. I like him a lot. There was like a 3-week period where I just went to the bank 3 separate times to give him wires, and the bank just kept on laughing because they're like, "Oh yeah, you're here again for that wire." I'm like, "Yep." Like, let's go do that. For me, because I've been on Instagram since like 2015, 2016. People know I'm pretty easy to like consistently be buying. And unlike other accounts that might like not get to every single DM, I answer every single DM I get. good, bad, or otherwise. Like I will at least acknowledge your existence. And I like buying posts. I'll say, hey, buying at 75% comps. Like here's what I want. And I'll get some, bites. But oftentimes it's just like, hey, people will DM me out of the blue, like, hey, are you buying? Do you want to buy this? And then they'll be at over comps. I'll be like, no. But occasionally they'll be like, hey, I have this lot for you. I can be at this percent, and I'll buy it. And it's usually repeat customers who want to go buy their grill, want some cash for their rent, X, Y, and Z.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like whatever kind of presents itself. But one thing that I'm getting is that for the most part, you've been disciplined enough with your cards, with your money, that you always kind of are liquid on the side in case
Correct.
anything that makes sense just comes up.
Dude,
Boom,
I
you
have,
do
I
it.
have an emergency fund just in case there's like the break here in case of like 50K lot and I need 40K. Like I have that ready at any moment.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
So do you have any before we wrap up, we're already over 30 minutes. Do you have any plans, anything that you're doing specifically at National, getting together with friends? Are
well,
you
I'm doing your trade night.
you better believe it. You better
Yeah.
believe it.
I have to make sure I know what it is, but like, yeah, I'm sure there's stuff that we're gonna be invited to. Either you're gonna grab me, like you're doing this, or Kai and Joku will grab me and be like, you're doing this also. Um, Listen, as someone who I don't walk shows that often anymore for two reasons. One, I have the ability to say no, and that's very powerful. And two, I don't have an agenda. Like if stuff makes sense, I'll buy it. But like when people don't price their stuff and people are very overconfident when they are priced and it all kind of blends together, I don't enjoy walking shows anymore. I like having the power dynamic in my favor. And I think that's just my role. I know what I'm good at in these days. Not saying I can't like expand my knowledge and like be better in the hobby, but I know what I am. Like and I play that role well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Before I wrap up, do you have a PC?
I have game worn logo patches and I have like a ton that I love. That stuff like I really like want to keep owning and buying more whenever I get a chance to. And that was the card that the one card I bought on Saturday was a Josh Hader museum collection logo man for like $150. And then my friend got it for two. And I'm like, all right, well, shit.
Wow.
It happens.
So game used
Logo
NBA logo men.
Any logo patch of like, I'll send you pictures after this.
Okay, so you do baseball,
Baseball,
NFL.
football, basketball, game used, like logo patches of stuff. Which is cool.
Love it.
Because also, if I ever decide to sell it one day, guess what? It's game worn. It might be decent patches of players, and they might be good. And you know what? They're not going to come up very often, especially with how Panini or Fanatics is going to be. So you never know.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the podcast before we wrap up. Plug that.
Oh man, the Sold Too Early Sports Card Podcast. What a fever dream that is. If you want someone who is going to be politically incorrect, who is going to keep on making the fucking bad jokes that you're not supposed to, but actually does love sports cards, and is not going to blow smoke up your ass, that is the podcast for you, because it's mostly me just rambling and my co-host guy trying to keep me in line, and he's not the best at it sometimes. Usually he'll encourage me to be bad.
I love it. I love it. And when do you guys drop? Every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So we're going to release one more episode before the National. I don't know if we're going to do one at the National. I have not thought about it yet, but I guess I'll worry about that later.
Listen, man, you got to, even if you record it earlier than you normally do, a couple days in advance, you have to release one week of the National, because people are going to be pumped up. They're going to be, whether if they're traveling there or not, they're going to be wanting to consume content. They're going to be traveling. They're going to download all these podcasts to get them through their flights, to get them through their drives. They're going to want to consume content. And let me tell you something. My episode immediately following the National this past year, right after Atlantic City, was like the episode I dropped on the Monday after the National.
Yep.
Was, to that point, my highest streamed episode. Within like 3 days, it broke my single episode record for streaming. Like the week of National and the episodes after, people are just myself included. I just want to consume everything. I want to hear 100 different point of views from people at the National.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm gonna try and do one at the National.
Love
That's
it.
what I meant. I mean, that'd be absurd, but we'll have to see if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, my buddy Ken and I, Big Ken, we're already planning on bringing some equipment out there, and we're going to be doing it. So
Hey, can I DM you after this about that? That might be helpful.
absolutely,
Oh,
will
hell
do.
yeah, nice, good. Now I don't have to do any work then.
All right, man. Dave, listen, it was a pleasure having you on, man. I was glad to hear about your experience setting up at Dallas, then the National in a week and a half. It's only 10 days away. You've always been great to me anytime I've ever tried to buy anything from you. And really, anyone I've ever referred to you has always said like, oh yeah, he's good. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
So always very fair. If people want to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you, Dave?
Oh shit, that way, that one, that Instagram right there.
There you go. So it's at extraordinary_cards. At
Yes, unless you're
extraordinary
listening to this
underscore
podcast, I
cards.
apologize for pointing at the screen. At Extraordinary Cards, the guy with the lighthouse.
Love it. Love it. All right, Dave. Listen, man, thank you for coming on. As always, appearance number 4 or 5. It was great having you on, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.